Some places die and vanish. Others die and wait. There's a stretch of dirt road near Selma, Alabama, where the trees grow too close and the silence feels just a little too heavy. If you're driving at night and miss your turn, you might wind up there, at the gates of Old Cahawba. It doesn't look like much at first. A cricket sign, a gravel path, a few scattered ruins. But if you get out of the car, if you stand still long enough, you'll feel it. Like something beneath your feet remembers you. For everyone working late or lying awake while the world sleeps, this is your place. Welcome to the Night Shift Chronicles, where the stories don't end at midnight. Drop a comment with the time and place you're watching from. And settle in, because tonight, we're visiting the town that Alabama forgot, but never buried. There's a place in Alabama where the past never quite sat still. I didn't know what to expect when I first rolled down that dirt road. It was late, just after sunset, and the kind of quiet that settles in the trees felt different. Not peaceful, not hostile either, just old, like it had been waiting. The sign at the entrance barely held on, weather warped, letters peeling. It said, Old Cahawba, the first capital of Alabama. I stepped out of the car, gravel crunching under my boots. No streetlights, no houses, just silhouettes. Chimneys with no homes, broken columns swallowed by vines, an old iron fence too proud to fall over. And the air, it was thick with something. Not fog, not heat. Memory, maybe. You ever stand somewhere and feel like you arrived too late? Like you missed something by about 100 years, but whatever it was still lingered? That's Cahawba. Back in 1819, this place was chosen to be the capital of a brand new state. They laid it all out in perfect grid lines, planted trees, built a brick state house, dreamed big. But the town sat between two rivers, the Cahawba and the Alabama, and those rivers didn't care about dreams. The rains came, the rivers swelled, the capital flooded. By 1826, they packed up and moved the government to Tuscaloosa, and just like that, Cahawba became a place people wanted to forget. But it didn't die. Not right away. In the decades that followed, cotton brought wealth. Steamboats chugged into port. Mansions rose from red clay. People smiled in daguerreotypes. You can still find some of those faces in the old archives, staring just slightly off camera, like they knew this town wasn't built to last. Then came the war, and Cahawba changed again. The old cotton warehouse, it turned into a prison. Castle Morgan, they called it. Union soldiers packed inside, freezing and starving. No clean water, no ventilation. One flood, and the whole place turned into a mud pit filled with rats and sickness. Some say the moans from that building never really stopped. I refused to go near it my first visit. Didn't need to. The air around it felt heavy, like breath that didn't want to leave your chest. I followed a trail past a fallen chimney and into what used to be a churchyard. The ground dipped low, soft and damp like it remembered too much rain. Old bricks scattered underfoot like someone tried to bury history and didn't dig deep enough. And that's the thing about Cahawba. It's not a town full of ruins. It's a town full of echoes. Places where the past didn't collapse. It just sank. After the war ended, Cahawba tried to come back. You could see it in the way people started building again. Shaky wooden homes with more hope than lumber. Churches that leaned slightly in the wind, but held on anyway. It wasn't grand anymore. It was stubborn, quietly desperate. Freedmen settled here too. Former slaves looking to build something that had been denied to them their entire lives. For a little while, Cahawba became a place of new beginnings. But the river, it didn't care about beginnings or endings. In 1865, the Alabama rose again, and this time, it didn't give the town back. Homes floated off their foundations. Church pews drifted into cotton fields. Even the cemeteries weren't spared. There were stories, unconfirmed but often repeated, of coffins surfacing in the night, drifting like lost boats with no destination. I didn't believe that part. Not until I saw one of the graves, a child's, sunken and cracked, like the ground had breathed in once and forgot how to exhale. There's a well in the center of Cahawba. Most tourists miss it, but if you follow the cracked brick path just past the foundation of what used to be the courthouse, you'll find it. Locals used to say the well was cursed. Now, I know every old town has its share of haunted things, but this was different. People claimed that if you stood near it just after sundown, you'd hear voices. Not screaming, not crying, just talking. Casual conversation, faint, like a town hall meeting happening far below ground. I stood by it once, didn't hear anything, but my phone died instantly. Full charge, gone. Then it got cold. Not breezy, cold. The kind of cold that doesn't touch your skin, it slips under it. I left fast. There are 3 cemeteries in Cahawba, one for white settlers, one for African Americans, and one for slaves. They're separated by trees and time, but you get the feeling they don't stay that way. There's a story about a woman who visited in the early 2000s. She brought her dog, walked a trail like it was just another historic park, snapped photos on a disposable camera. When she developed them, half the markers were missing. Not just faded, gone. In their place, shadows that didn't match the trees. And her dog wouldn't walk past the slave cemetery, planted its paws and started shaking like it was standing on something it couldn't see. I've been there, and yeah, it's quiet, but not the kind of quiet you trust. Most abandoned places feel empty. Cahawba doesn't. It feels like walking into a room just after someone left, like you missed something by seconds. You'll hear a bird, but you won't see it. Leaves rustle, but there's no wind. And once, this actually happened. I saw a lantern light flicker through the trees. No one else was there. I called out. It vanished, not slowly, instantly, like someone turned it off on purpose. There's one story people keep telling, even now. Locals, tour guides, paranormal folks, everyone's heard some version of it. It happened in 1999. A family from out of town came through. Just a casual stop on their way to Selma. They had a daughter, maybe 9 years old. She was quiet, kind of shy. The parents said she kept wandering off during the walk, like she was looking for someone. At one point, they found her standing near one of the old brick columns, talking. Not to herself, to someone. They asked, "Who are you talking to?" She said, "The girl in the white dress. She lives here." That would have been creepy enough, but then they stopped by the little museum near the entrance, where they keep old photos, maps, bits of pottery. The girl froze in front of a framed black and white portrait. Didn't say a word, just pointed. That's her. The photo was labeled Sarah C., 1856 to 1865. She died in the flood. In the 1980s, a group of historians started cataloging the ruins, mapping old street lines, marking grave sites, preserving foundations. You'd think they'd uncover the whole story, but something strange kept coming up. Records were missing. Not lost to time, not burned in a fire, gone. Letters from soldiers at Castle Morgan, gone. Town ledger books from 1864, gone. Prisoner rosters from the Union side, redacted or mislabeled. One archivist said the pages looked like they'd been deliberately removed, not torn, clean cut, precision. Who would erase history like that, and why? One theory is that something happened at Castle Morgan worse than anyone ever admitted. Something that didn't make it into the history books because someone made sure it didn't. You stand near the remains of that warehouse today, and the ground still feels soft, like it's trying to sink something. By the early 1900s, Cahawba was on life support. The county seat had moved to Selma. The railroad bypassed the town. Buildings were torn down and sold off piece by piece, brick by brick. They dismantled the town like they were trying to unmake it. But not everything comes apart cleanly. By 1989, Cahawba was officially unincorporated. By then, it wasn't a town. It was a memory with foundations. And instead of rebuilding, Alabama decided to preserve it, not as a town, but as a park. Old Cahawba Archaeological Park, a place where you can walk through shadows and call it history. They saved what they could. They left the rest to the trees. I've been back to Cahawba twice since that first visit. Once in late spring, sunlight, blooming trees, butterflies over the old cemetery. It almost felt peaceful, like maybe the land had finally settled. But the last time, it was fall. Cold wind, damp ground, no birds. The trees were bare and the chimneys, those tall brick spines of houses long gone, looked taller somehow, more skeletal. The path to the well had collapsed in one corner. The museum was locked, no staff, no signs. Just one thing written on the door in faded marker: do not enter alone after dark. They didn't say why. They didn't need to. Cahawba isn't just a ghost town. It's a place that never figured out how to disappear. You don't walk through it, you drift. From what was to what's left. And you get the sense that something is watching. Not malevolent, not welcoming, just there, remembering. You feel it in the leaves, in the bricks, in the air between the trees where a window used to be. I've been to war memorials, abandoned asylums, deserted towns out west, but Cahawba, it's the only place that ever made me question whether a location could remember you. find yourself on that back road near Selma and you see a crooked sign for Old Cahawba, pull over, walk the trails, listen closely. You might not hear anything, or you might hear everything. Just don't go alone after dark. And if you do, bring something that still breathes, just in case the town gets curious. Wherever you are, driving into the dawn or staring at the ceiling, remember, some stories never sleep, and neither do we. This is the Night Shift Chronicles, where the restless hours come alive with stories buried in the dark. Until next time, keep the light burning through your shift.